brought to you by Southern Trust Home Services. Give us a call at 540-208-3425. Get into a Southern state of mind. Hey there, meteorologist Jamey Singleton with you here, and it is starting to snow across parts of the area, depending on where you are. Already coming down out there. In fact, it's pouring down snow in northwest North Carolina into Mount Airy, and as we see here on the radar picture, the radar algorithm here is going to do its best to show you where it's snowing and where it's raining. But primarily from Wytheville down to I-81, we've now got snow reporting here at the airport, at the Marion Wytheville Mountain Empire Airport, and then as you get down toward Sparta and the Boone, North Carolina, North Wilkesboro, it's been snowing now for quite some time. In fact, enough to cover the ground already out there. I do think the forecast is primarily going to verify. I haven't really changed any of my thinking. I thought earlier today about maybe moving that 3 to 5 inch total a little bit farther north and west. But I got to tell you, some of the models that were the short-term models that were just coming out around dinner time were actually going a little more robust in terms of the snowfall. And again, we've been riding that fine line between a lot of moisture moving in, some heavy Pacific moisture, and air that is just cold enough to support the snow. I mean, we're talking half a degree to 1 degree difference is all the difference between slush, and some of you may still see a little bit of slush, and that's it, along with some ice. But I think most of the area should see at least a coating of snow to several inches of snow by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. It's a solid area of moisture that's going to take its time getting to the ground. You are looking at more of a composite here on the radar picture. You see Floyd County radar right there where my mouse is, the cursor there, but lots of moisture streaming in here. And again, I've been advertising the fact that a lot of this moisture is front loaded. In other words, yes, there's a temperature change in there that will change us over to sleet and freezing rain tomorrow, but a lot of that moisture is on the cold side of this storm system. So by the time the temperature change happens, a lot of the moisture, according to what I'm looking at, would have already fallen across the area. And that's enough, I think, for, again, that 3 to 5 inch total that I'm going for. So this is just kind of a recap to show you that I haven't really changed my forecast at all. In fact, that's just the same image from yesterday. But a good coating to 4 inches for most everybody. I do want to point out that's a range. So let's just take, for example, Martinsville and Danville. Don't look at that 4 inch as much as, you know, we've also got the coating there for you. So, you know, sometimes when we call for a coating to 4 and you end up with a coating, you say, oh, you missed it. Where's that 4 inches at? Well, that's a range. That's why we have it. It's there for a purpose. I do think we're going to end up being kind of in the middle, though. 3 to 5 inches through a good part of Rocky Mount, through Boone's Mill, Roanoke Valley, Salem, Benton, Fincastle, Lexington, I think is safe for 3 to 5. I questioned by 3 to 5 earlier today from Blacksburg and Pulaski. That may be a little hard to come by, although right now it's starting to pick up and really start to snow right now on the radar picture out that way. So that may end up being okay as well. We've only got to get the 3 inches to verify. And this is not a high ratio snow. It's very wet snow, but big fat flakes are coming down with this. And I'll show you a webcam here in just a second. So it doesn't take a lot before we start really plopping down some of these higher snowfall totals. Much of the NRV into the Allegheny Highlands seeing at least 3 to 4 inches, maybe upwards of 8 inches, or at least closer to the 5, 6, 7 inches through Covington into the Allegheny Highlands, and maybe even over 6 inches for the Allegheny Highlands through Hot Springs and Northern Virginia. Although right now it's looking like our area may be on one of the better bands here looking at that snowfall. So let me show you the radar picture one more time. And this system goes all the way back It's a big arm of moisture. I've got a lot of the reports overlaid here. There's a ton of energy with this system. You can see it continues all the way back through Kansas City and St. Louis. There are thunderstorms ongoing through Memphis into the southeast, and this is just a very dynamic system. So there's a lot of energy to work with here, and when we run that into the cold air, we get some very interesting weather out there. So look at the enhanced snowfall that I've got here. I think right now, if anyone's in Galax, Ed Tuck says it's snowing in Wilkesboro, North Carolina right now. Hey, Mary in Roanoke. Mary's, I got another Mary here in Rocky Mount watching from North Carolina, formerly from the Shenandoah Valley. Donna, let me know if you're around Galax. I'm curious from Sparta and the Galax if it's snowing, because these pinks are very high reflectivities for snowfall, and it looks like that is starting to reach the ground. So as you make your way down through Hillsville and Galax, we're starting to see that snow, and it won't be far along for Pulaski and Perrysburg as well, and around the Stewart area and into southwest parts of Floyd County. It will take a bit longer. It'll take probably through about 11 o'clock or midnight to get all the way through the Roanoke Valley area. But you can see the radar scope here is starting to saturate. As we put this into motion, you see that concentric ring there get a little bit smaller as the moisture continues to feed down. That radar beam is getting some of the moisture. We've got some sleet reported in North Carolina around Roxborough. Mount Airy is reporting some snowfall at the moment. So this is on its way in. And again, this is a good sign if you want heavy snow, because this is the cold side of the system. We want a lot of moisture on this side, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Kind of fascinating here, just awesome. I've been posting a ton of imagery on Twitter and on my Instagram. Check that out as well. This is a radar representation that is just a green radar, and I'm going to show you why it's a green radar in just a second. But I've got the surface temperatures plotted here, and you can see a lot of this isn't reaching the ground, but it's still 41 in Roanoke. So some of this is going to start as rain, and then as the column saturates, as the moisture falls and evaporates some, you're going to see those temperatures drop. Look at Hillsville down to 32. It's went from 30 to 28 degrees into northwest North Carolina. Boone's holding at 30. So right along Highway 58, temperatures are starting to drop here as well. Those are surface temperatures, and you can see our surface winds here in the arrows showing that high pressure wedging down. Now I'm going to show you something really cool. You ready for this? Let's go at 5,000 feet. Let's go to 5,000 feet, and I'm going to only show you where the air is at or below freezing. In other words, the blue area is going to be where it's where the rain snow line is. And I'm going to pop that on here for you, and there you see it. Let me go to my radar picture and make that a little more transparent for you. Okay. So as the moisture moves in, look at this nose of colder air. Isn't that cool? This is at 5,000 feet, and this has expanded over the past couple of hours as the moisture's moved in. And so again, it's a matter of two different things going on. Moisture is evaporating as it's falling into that air. When you get out of the bathtub and you take a shower, you're trying to dry off, you feel a little bit colder, you get that chill on your skin, because as the water evaporates, it takes the heat to do that. And so that's what it's doing in the atmosphere. The other thing that's happening is as the storm system cranks up and we are piling all this moisture up against the mountains and we're lifting that air, we have the air expanding, and that expansion makes it colder as well. So those two factors by themselves could be just enough, and I believe that's going to be the case. Thank you, Lisa, snowing in Galax, to keep a lot of the areas just as plain old heavy wet snow tonight. And again, 1 or more degrees warmer, you know, you could go back to rain or sleet or even freezing rain. And we'll eventually have that tomorrow. But in the meantime, you can see right here, this is the rain snow line aloft. And as I probe this, let's see, let me pause the radar here. You can see, let me get rid of the actual radar. So you can see, this is the rain snow line aloft. So it can be 41 degrees and snowing in Roanoke because At 5,000 feet, it's 29 degrees. Okay, these are 5,000 feet temperatures. Typically, this is where we see our rain snow line. So safely within the snow line through Botetourt County, Fincastle at 5,000 feet, it's in the upper 20s. As you get down into North Carolina, we're holding right at 30 to 31 degrees, and across Southside we're a little bit above freezing, so maybe starting out with some sleet, but even across Southside I think these temperatures will continue to fall here. I've been watching this area of blue kind of expand as that moisture begins to move in. Isn't that awesome? Seriously, and you get that colder air from aloft is going to get pulled down to the ground so that those surface temperatures will also start to drop as well. So 41 in Roanoke is going to be about 10 degrees colder later on tonight as this moisture continues to move into the area. And you can see across North Carolina, look at the low 30s all throughout Hickory into that's Statesville right there, Salisbury, into Asheville and northwest North Carolina. Just awesome to see this. I love storms like this because they're not so clear cut. The beauty is in the details of these things, and it's really, really awesome. Only God can create that. That's just really cool. Let me show you here what I've been watching some of tonight. This is the Boone area of North Carolina. I'm going to full screen that. You're looking at King Street, I believe, and you can see that the roads there are turning slick. They're a little bit wet, and there appear to be coatings, appears to be a coating in spots. The flakes are fairly large, coming down at a pretty good clip. They were a little larger a second ago. It depends on what shot you're looking at too, but this is from resortcams.com, and it's definitely been snowing there for several hours. Big old fat wet snowflakes. It looks like it may be trying to mix with a little bit of rain and sleet there as well. They will turn over probably first to sleet and freezing rain, but I do think that's a good representation of what's coming for the Roanoke Valley area and for the Allegheny Highlands as that moisture continues to move on in. You see traffic moving kind of slow there, as it typically does, but again, that gives you an idea of the nature of the snow. It's going to be a very clumpy, wet snow, kind of clings to everything. Just huge, snowflakes that will just coat everything out there. Will be very neat to see that. So anyway, we're going to go away from that because I believe that's dropping our frame rate quite a bit. So let's go over to some different models here, and I'm looking at the National Weather Service out of Blacksburg. Looks like we are reconnected again. Sorry about that, everybody. They have upped their snowfall totals just a bit. Yesterday they had totals in Roanoke around 1 inch. They're now up to about 2 to 3 inches. Lynchburg at 1 to 2. And again, this is getting a little bit closer to where my forecast was at 3 to 5. So from Lexington and the Covington, that's going to be the jackpot area. But I think this area may be more like, 3 to 5 inches, maybe even 6 or 7 inches through this area. That's their forecast. They're also looking at a chance of this much snow falling. This will be the worst higher end case scenario, where Roanoke, Blacksburg could see up to 5 inches, maybe 6 or 7, and even more up to nearly a foot north of I-64. So it's one of those fragile systems that can really dump a lot of moisture in a very short amount of time. We've got a big ribbon of moisture here. This is right off the Pacific Ocean, running right into this high pressure area, and that's in a good position for us. It got a little bit warm today, but the fact that the high is moving in from the northeast, it's holding in that colder air. Look at that ribbon of moisture there in the green that's spiraling around the low, which is, by the way off to the west here. So we've got a lot of moisture to come from this system, and really this is just the warm front of this system. The actual comma head of the system doesn't move through here until the weekend, so flooding concerns are still going to be with us here. This is the high resolution model here, the HER model, as I like to show folks, and this is a good model to look at when you're in the moment, along with radar. And again, as we go into the night tonight, by midnight to 1 a.m., this is what I'm counting on. The model showing here much of the area north of Sidnersville into the Roanoke Valley area, all of the Shenandoah Valley area, all of southeast West Virginia. That's some very dark blue. That's some really hard snow. And it doesn't need to do this all night long. If we can get it to do some heavy snow for about, 2.5, 3.5 hours, we're going to get to 3 inches pretty fast, I think, especially with the sun now set. All right, it may take a little bit longer in the Piedmont. That's why I've got the coating there just in case we don't see it stick quite as fast. But if it can come down fast and furious for a good 3 to 4 hours, we're going to get that 1 to 4 and up to 3 to 5 there in local spots. So this is showing us how things really deteriorate in our area over the next 3 to 4 hours. And it's really kind of a quick hitter. By and large, by 5 o'clock, most of the moisture is to the north, and that also carries with it the change over to, you see there, the sleet and freezing rain. So again, my main point that I was looking at yesterday, I was saying, okay, how much liquid moisture falls before we change over aloft? And most of it, 90% of it, falls before we get to the ice. So yeah, we're going to have some freezing rain and some ice around tomorrow, but a lot of it tonight is going to fall as snow, as heavy wet snow. This is the Euro model today, which came in a bit snowier, showing you 1 a.m. Right now. The latest model that I'm looking at here on the screen, and you can see Roanoke right in through here, Smith Mountain Lake there at the bottom of your screen, and again that changeover by around 8 o'clock in the morning. But look at the different snow parameters here this is off the Euro, up to 3 to 6 inches of snow if you go by the snow depth. That's one of the algorithms that the model uses. You can also go by the Kuchera, which is going to be lower, but even this is one of the lower ratios that we can look at off the Euro and off of the different models that we are looking at. Most of the area gets about 2 to 3 inches. It's got 4 in Roanoke and 4 up to the Allegheny Highlands and into Charlottesville and Stanton as well, and 3 down through the NRV. So this would be a low-end scenario, but I think that's a pretty good, it's a reasonable outcome with all that snow coming down. And again, if you were to go a 10-to-1 ratio, you're looking at about 5 inches across the area. That's off the Euro. All right, so the models are kind of coming into agreement here, centering on the Allegheny Highlands in northern Virginia. As I mentioned yesterday, this is the GFS ensemble. We take a bunch of different GFS models, the same model actually, and we tweak it a bunch of different ways, and we get a blend of forecast parameters here, and you're looking at snowfall from this afternoon's run, and you can see the heavier snow definitely around I-64 into the northern neck of Virginia, but still down through Roanoke and Smith Mountain Lake. You consider this as an average, you're still in the blue there looking at least 2 inches of snow, if not 3 or 4 off of that model. Then you go to the European ensemble, and much of the same this afternoon, showing you the gray area there at 1.5, but as soon as you get into the light blue, you're looking at 2 inches up to 3 to 4, and then that darker purple that you see there, that's 6 inches. So between 2 and 6 off the Euro model, and that's 51 different I can't think of the word right now, but different tweaks to the model. It's been a long day. We tweak it 51 different times. We average it out to account for inherent errors, and this is what you get. You get a good blend there. It tells us that the models are, we've got fairly high confidence in them. So winter storm warnings are up for just about all of the area. Pretty much just an advisory for south side of. I'll go here and just to kind of show you what the National Weather Service has. Danville, Martinsville has the winter weather advisory that extends down to into North Carolina, but all of the rest of the area under a winter storm warning. And listen, they're carrying now, the National Weather Service, 2 to 5 inches through Botetourt, Rockbridge County. So they're right in line with what I was saying yesterday. Lynchburg now 2 to 5 inches. That includes the city into Bedford County as well, right up against Smith Mountain Lake. They've got Roanoke in 1 to 3. Again, I feel like we're going to have 3 to 5 through a good part of the area, or at least 1 to 4, and probably lesser amounts. I do agree with this, lesser amounts as you get a little bit farther away from the foothills here, but even in the Piedmont areas, a good coating appears to be likely. What else do I want to show you? I've already showed you the ribbon of moisture. I'm looking at the rapid update cycle as well. This is Virginia. This is the rain snow line right there. And it's not something you really track as much as you watch evolve. Notice it actually cranks out its own cold air. And so each time that rain snow line or rain sleet line tries to move in overnight tonight, we see the evaporation take place, the lift, dynamic cooling take place, and we cool just below freezing again. The funny thing about snow is once you are close to that melting point, that's when everything kind of sticks together, right? And you get those big heavy snowflakes. So you can get some really incredible snowfall a lot of times when you're right on the line, and that's where we're going to be through a good part of the night tonight. So this could be the kind of snow for some of you that's going to not forget the ice. The heavy wet snow could weigh down the trees and the power lines out there for a good part of the area, especially in the Allegheny Highlands. So we could have power outages if this verifies the way I think it may. And again, I'm on the higher end of totals here, but I think we could see that well into the overnight, after midnight into the early morning. You can see right here, this is 5 a.m. Most of the areas below freezing aloft and would be getting snow here according to the rapid update cycle. And you've got winds coming in out of the southeast, hitting the mountains. Your warm nose is still off to the west. You've got some warmer air here. Yeah, that's going to be moving in during the later parts of the day. But really, it's not until 8 or 9 o'clock, according to this model, that we see that changeover take place from the snow to the ice. So we've got, you know, almost 10 hours to go before we have any threat of a big changeover out there. So keep that in mind. This is off of True Weather. This is one of my new models that I've been looking at too. And I know I'm throwing a bunch of stuff out at you, but this is why I have not changed my forecast. And in the future, I'm going to do some technical videos. And if you want to sponsor and support me, you can do that. This is kind of a teaser. But right now, I'm looking at the UK Met model. Not a lot of folks have access to this in this detail here, but what really stood out to me yesterday and again today, look at this. This is from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. So in just 6 hours, this is how much liquid equivalent falls out of the sky. Upwards of 3/10 to ½ an inch of liquid falls out of the sky. Now, if that's a 1:8, 1:10 ratio, that's 3 to 5 inches of snow. So that verifies, because that blue line right through there is holding tough just south of the area. It's right over Martinsville, Danville, and right over the New River Valley into the Mountain Empire of Virginia. This is tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. So this holds us, again, in that perfect spot for that heavier wet snow, and that's off the UK Met. Eventually, we do get above freezing at 5,000 feet. There are the red lines, +3, +6 Celsius, and then you can see that real heavy snow in northern Virginia. But for a while, again, after midnight through the early parts of the morning, it's going to get slick out there, and it'll be dangerous to be on the roadways as well. And then it all changes over to ice a little bit later on. This is the RGEM model. This is the high-resolution Canadian model. And I wanted to show you this because it shows much the same. It's a 4-panel here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in it into the overnight hours, into early tomorrow morning, I think. And yeah, there we go. It's got a load here. As we go into midnight to, it's like 4 a.m. And I've got this up on my Twitter. It's a little hard to see, but right there is a spoke of 0.5 to 0.7 inches of liquid equivalent falling as snow. So that's, again, at least 3 to 4, maybe 5 or 6, 7 inches of heavy wet snow falling, if you believe that model. And again, it's right in line with the UK Met. It's in fair agreement with the rapid update cycle, the HRRR model. So I'm feeling pretty good about my forecast here. And again, I'll go back to it because I don't think I have much else to show you other than just the radar at this point. But let me just recap here what I've got for you. And again, it's a heavy wet snow, and right now I feel pretty good with these numbers. I'm sticking to my guns here at the 3 to 5 inch amounts. Again, if it's not snowing where you are yet, it will be. Everybody wants to know when and where and how much. There it is. And you're not going to see a big discrepancy here. I really don't think you're going to see much wavering here. Maybe into the Piedmont a little bit less for South Boston, Charlotte Courthouse. But most of us are going to see a coating at least upwards of 4 to 5 inches by the time this is all said and done, probably tomorrow late in the morning when we see some freezing drizzle throughout the day for your Wednesday, and temperatures hovering around freezing all day. We are going to see some ice accretion on top of that, but actually, I'll be honest with you, a lot of this moisture is going to fall, I think, on the snowier side. I don't know if we're going to get a tremendous amount of freezing rain, which would be the best case scenario in terms of power outages, although the snow itself could be fairly heavy. But you can see there Blacksburg, Pulaski, Floyd, Roanoke, Salem, Benton, again, right up against the Blue Ridge Parkway, Western Franklin County, Bedford. You're into 3 to 5 according to my forecast here, 4 to 8 through the Allegheny Highlands, north of Lexington, in and around Covington. Bedford gets 3 to 5. Lynchburg, I've got you in a coating the 4. Again, that coating the 4 versus 3 to 5 is not very different, is it? And so the moisture will be moving in from the southwest to the northeast. So that's going to be a timing issue gradually throughout the night tonight. In other words, it's already starting to snow. Let me get you back over to GR Earth. It's already starting to snow here around Mount Airy into Galax. You see it in the motion getting up to Floyd, right up against Floyd right now. Won't be long before we see some rain and snow mix through Southside. It looks like it's raining right now in Martinsville. Don't be concerned if it starts out as rain. I think it will east of the Parkway because our surface temperatures are still kind of warm, but as the moisture begins to move on in, it will tug down that cold air from aloft, and we're going to start to see this become just a heavier wet snow for a good part of the overnight of tonight. So still a lot of moisture to go. It goes all the way back in the Chattanooga, where we've got flash flood warnings out around Huntsville, Alabama. Thunder and lightning reported here, some stronger thunderstorms, and not very far away that becomes sleet, freezing rain, and heavy wet snow. And some of these heavy wet snows you have to watch. Some of them become tree breakers. In other words, they weigh so much, what we call heart attack snow too. You have to be careful when you're shoveling because it can be a danger out there for you. So that's the very latest. That's what I'm looking at right now. That's why I have not changed my forecast. Hey Valerie, I think most areas are going to be very slick tomorrow. And, you know, dry snow can be very slick, but the super wet, sloppy snow like we're getting right now in a lot of parts, a lot of the area, that can be very difficult to manage too, even on four-wheel drive. So that's going to be my main concern. But this is the leading edge. There it comes, right up through I-77, moving up and down the I-81 corridor. It's about to start snowing, it looks like, in Pulaski. It's about to start snowing any second right now in Radford. Floyd, if it hasn't started, will be starting very soon. Up and down the Parkway, Woolwine, Stewart, looks like Lover's Leap there, starting to get on the snow. And this is also a function of saturating the air. So you see that circle there getting more narrow. That's the radar beam getting, as at different angles, picking up the moisture as it gets a little closer to the ground. So it won't be long before that rain gets down. Light rain in Salem. Thanks, Sean. Felicity Designs. Light rain in Salem. So our surface temperatures, again, let me pop that up for you so you can see. 41. So it's going to start raining, start as rain, where we're in the lower 40s right now. But again, we pull down that 5,000 feet air that's basically hovering right around freezing, and those temperatures will cool thanks to evaporation, and they'll cool aloft thanks to the dynamic lift. And so to give you another visual of that, this is just so cool. I'm so glad I've got this program to show you this. These are temperatures at 5,000 feet combined with temperatures at the surface. So let me show you, we'll take the radar again off because it kind of hides everything. So even though it's 41 in Roanoke, at 5,000 feet, it's 30. Atmosphere is 3D. So where we're making the snowflakes, it's you know, we're making the crystals where the moisture's coming in. Definitely cold enough for the snow, and so you'll see that initially it's melting into rain as it hits that 41-degree air or 39-degree air in Lynchburg and 37-degree air in Martinsville. But what will happen is, as the main ribbon of moisture and energy moves in, you'll see this area expand right over us, and I think that will be it's a hard forecast, but I think it'll be enough to verify for several inches of snow in the morning. You got to keep in mind temperatures at 5,000 feet are a lot colder. Then what will happen tomorrow is they'll reverse, and our surface temperatures will be colder, and the temperatures at 5,000 feet will become warmer. Why is the temperature in Bassett high 30s, but it sounds like ice falling? Kathy, good question. Kathy is in Bassett, so let's go into Bassett right now. She said she can hear the ice falling, so that means you are getting sleet in Bassett. And there it is. You've got 37 degrees, but let me show you. Your dew point is 30. So that is the temperature at which the air becomes saturated. In other words, that droplet of water, rain, is some of it's evaporating and heat's being taken away from it, and it's being chilled, and it's that's part of the process that's going to create the wet snow. So you may see the rain change to sleet, then over to snow. So it won't be long before in around Bassett we'll probably see the sleet become more of a sleet snow mixture, and then I think some heavier wet snow is in store for us throughout the night tonight through about 5 a.m. on Wednesday. You can see the temperatures aloft here where the darker blues are. That's where the colder temperatures are. And this is a rapid update cycle that I think it updates every hour or half hour or whatever. So this will continue to update throughout the night. Thank you, Chris. Going through looking at some comments here, questions. Bedford, I believe you are in, I've got you in 3 to 5, right on the edge between 1 to 4, 3 to 5. Again, a good solid coating to several inches. I wouldn't pay, you know, too much attention to exact amounts. I do think it'll be white out there tomorrow for a good many of us. And again, most of this is front loaded. Most of this now coming in, it looks like in the form of snow out ahead of this main system out there. So that's what we're looking at. I'm trying to see if there's anything I forgot. I get into this so much and I have so many maps to show you. There's a broader standpoint from WeatherTap. And again, their radar algorithm is going to guess what's going on. This is a really huge area of moisture to not have a big dry slot. The orientation is very unique in that it's solid all the way from the middle of the country all the way into the Carolinas. And look what's going on here. That one area across North Carolina into our part of Virginia right there is seeing everything cool dynamically enough to switch it over to some snowfall. So again, next few hours, it's 9:49 now. By 11, 12 o'clock tonight, it'll start snowing pretty fast out there and hard and heavy, and the roads will become very slick. Be very careful out there. This will be a prolonged event too. It'll last into the early morning hours of tomorrow, lingering as some freezing rain, sleet, freezing drizzle, even into tomorrow night for Wednesday night. We'll also have a lot of moisture falling, so watch out for ponding of water on the roadways out there because a second wave of this is coming up for us by the time we go into the weekend. That's what I was showing you here. We have to worry about melting and then flooding, I'm afraid, for Friday, Saturday into Sunday. That's your forecast. All right, I'm going to leave you with the graphic of my forecast there. Again, several inches, 3 to 5 for most, coating the 4 elsewhere, and a little bit higher in the Allegheny Highlands. More updates to come. Special shout out to our sponsor, Southern Trust Home Services. I was talking to Ted Puzio today. He's got some really cool things that he can hook you up with in terms of when you lose power, some generators and that kick on automatically and regulate your voltage in your home. Give them a call, and it's important that you call them on this number because they track. They say, okay, that number called, that's Jamey Singleton viewer. It helps yours truly out, right? If you call from that number, they can track their sales off of that. It's 540-208-3425. If anything, just call them, leave them a message, and let them know that you appreciate their sponsoring weather content. And they do a lot of advertising all around the area, and I'm glad to have met Ted and David Ribble over there at Southern Trust, doing some good work around the community as well. They have a generator that they have as a loaner. So if you're a veteran or the elderly and they need essential services or whatever, just to get by, they will loan that if they can get to you. First come, first serve. Kind of neat to see that. That's the latest for right now. More updates to come later on this evening. Brought to you by Southern Trust Home Services. Give us a call at 540-208-3425. Get into a Southern state of mind.